Rav Tov Rabbi say, one of the Chevron wanted to know, tomorrow of course is Taanis Bechoros. Shachris is going to be 6:45, followed by siyum. Thank you, Roni. He's making a siyum on Maseches Menachos. Menachos for Ashkenazim, Menachot for Sfaradim. It's more or less the same as after. The question arises, what is this whole thing about? That you have a fast that you can get out of by making a siyum. We don't have any such thing in Kala Tarakula. It's not like, Yom Kippur rolls around, you're like, you know what? Let's get a siyum happening, and then we don't have to worry about where does such a thing come from, that you can get out of a taanis just by having a siyum. So it's interesting because the truth is, in the days of the Nodi B'Yehuda, that was not the minhag. The Nodi B'Yehuda writes that the minhag used to be, and he gets very angry about this minhag because it is inappropriate, it's incorrect. That whenever you would have a baby boy that couldn't have a bris on the 8th day for health reasons, so they would push off the bris until Erev Pesach, and then they would make the bris on Erev Pesach in order to have a Sudas mitzvah, that the Bechoros shouldn't have to have a taanis, they shouldn't have to fast then. So he writes very strongly against it, because the halacha is that as soon as you can do the bris, you should do the bris, you shouldn't wait. Nevertheless, the minhag of the vast majority of the world is that you make a siyum, you don't have a taanis. Rosh Hashanah asked the question, why? Why is it that you can all of a sudden get out of this fast day by having a siyum masechta? It's a very peculiar thing. The truth is that what we do today, what we call Taanis Bechoros today, doesn't really make any sense, because, like Reb Steve was mentioning before, the pasuk says, "Ki im bayis asher ein sham meis." There was not a single Egyptian house that didn't have at least one person that had died, which means that both the male firstborn and the female firstborn, and whether it was the firstborn of the mother, or the firstborn of the father, or the firstborn of multiple fathers, that's the Gemara says that in bayis asher ein sham meis, that you had one woman that had many firstborn from a whole bunch of different guys. They all of those firstborns were killed in Makas Bechoros, and that's what you say in Leil HaSeder, meaning in the Halal HaGadol, Lemakim Mitzrayim bivchareihem, Kilo Lamcha, so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu struck the Egyptians with their own firstborns, because Chazal tell us that there was a civil war that happened on the night of leaving Mitzrayim, that all the Bechoros were like, no, get them out of here, because we've already had 9 of these things. We're pretty sure our bet is on the fact that we're all going to die tonight if the Jews don't leave. And that was the civil war. That civil war was the background of our Yetzias Mitzrayim. But our minhag today is not like that. Our minhag is not that you have every possible permutation of firstborn fasting. And the truth is that it doesn't make any sense to do this on Erev Pesach. Bichlal doesn't make sense to do this on Erev Pesach, because if it is Zecher L'Neis, if it's in commemoration of the miracle that was done, that should be on Pesach itself. And if you're going to tell me, no, it can't be on Pesach itself because that's a Yom Tov, then it can't be on Erev Pesach either, because that's also a Yom Tov. Erev Pesach is the Yom Tov of the Hakravas HaPesach, and the truth is that's the halacha. For any time that a Jew would bring a korban to the Beis HaMikdash, that day was a Yom Tov for them. So Erev Pesach after Chatzos is a Yom Tov for everybody. So how do you institute maybe you would push it off like this year, we're having it on the 13th, we're having it on Yud Gimel, that would make sense on every year, but not even, meaning we're pushing it back even a little bit earlier, but it doesn't make any sense to have it on Pesach, it doesn't make sense to have it on Erev Pesach. Rosh Hashanah also asked the question, then ostensibly if it's Zecher L'Neis, what does it have to do with the Bechorim now? It should be all of the descendants of all of the firstborns in that generation in Egypt. Meaning, what difference does it make if you're a firstborn now? If you're a firstborn now, that's not a shkoyach. Meaning, if your Alta Zaidi was not a firstborn, there's nothing to worry about. So you are part of those descendants. None of that seems to be related to necessarily the saving of the firstborns in Mitzrayim, but rather the bechira of the Jewish people, the choosing of the Jewish people, and specifically that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose the Jewish people, he replaced the idea of the firstborn being the priest class in Egypt with the priests of the Jewish people being the firstborn, and that was supposed to be for all future generations. That was, how did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do that? So the pasuk says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu protected the Jewish homes. He protected us. And since he protected us, in that protection, he invited the Jewish people into being his avadim, avadaihem. They are my servants, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We no longer work for Paro, we work for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that was supposed to be that in every home, there was supposed to be a Bechor that would be the Kohen in each and every home. But that was lost. That was lost at the time of the Egel HaZahav. And that was given over to the Shevet Levi and given over to the Kohanim, specifically within Shevet Levi. But Chazal tell us that at some stage of the Geula, that avodah will be returned to the Bechorim. It will be returned to the firstborn of every family. That doesn't mean to the exclusion of the Kohanim, not the exclusion of the Kohanim. That's a big sugya. Does that mean that Shevet Levi is going to get Nachal and Eretz Yisrael when Mashiach comes? Or is it? That's also a big sugya. But that when Mashiach comes, at some stage of the future of the Jewish people, we are going to reinstate the Bechorim as being the Kohanim of Hashem. And there is one day of the year that it is most felt that you are not a Kohen. That is the day that every single Jewish family has to bring a korban, which is Erev Pesach. That's the day of the year that every single family would come. Every family. And that was the day that you, as the Bechor, was supposed to be the Kohen of your family. And you're not. And you're not. So if you're not going to be the Kohen of your family, so that's already something to be upset about. Because ideally you should be. That was the way that it was supposed to be. But there was unfortunately an Egel HaZahav. And we haven't yet reached the point of Geula that Avodah will be reinstituted. And therefore, there is a Taanis. So how do you get out of it with the siyum? Because the derech to fixing the problem that was created by the Egel HaZahav is through Limud HaTorah. Meaning if we would have gotten it right at Har Sinai, if we would have received the Torah and accepted the Torah and loved the Torah and cherished the Torah and observed the Torah, there would not have been an Egel HaZahav. And if there wouldn't have been an Egel HaZahav, then the Avodah wouldn't have been taken away from the Kohanim, then we wouldn't have had this whole mess to begin with. And therefore, says Rosh Zalman, that's the minhag. The minhag is that you declare a Taanis because this is the day to feel the tsar, to feel the pain of not being the Kohen of your family. And then to say, but the tikkun for that is in Talmud Torah and in Limud Torah. This has an interesting nafkamina lahalacha. The nafkamina is, and there's a big debate in the poskim at a pidyon haben. At a pidyon haben, there's a debate amongst the poskim. Do you make the bracha shasimcha b'ma'onai, that the simcha is on the loftiest heights of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's abode? And we paskin that you don't make the bracha shasimcha b'ma'onai because a pidyon haben is not such a simcha for Hashem. Pidyon haben is when you exchange the firstborn for the kohen. I mean, the kohen takes the 5 silver pieces, and the firstborn is then redeemed from the avodah, which he is apostle from at this point anyway. But it is a commemoration of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose the firstborn, and then we didn't uphold those standards when it came to the time of the Egel HaZahav, and therefore we don't make the bracha Simcha B'Ma'onai because while sure you make a Shechianu, it is a unique mitzvah. You don't make the bracha Simcha B'Ma'onai because it's not the highest level of Simcha by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chasana, you make the bracha. By wedding, you said that the simcha is on the highest level of simcha. That's exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Simcha b'ma'onai you cannot make because it's not the ideal. It's not the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu ideally intended it to be. And therefore, what we do tomorrow morning, both for Kohanim and for Yisraelim and for Levim and for non-firstborns, is we celebrate the fact that we have the Torah, and through Limud HaTorah, through Talmud Torah, we have the opportunity and the ability to fix up all of the things that we've gotten wrong since the Egel HaZahav, and that resulted in the Egel HaZahav and Be'ez Mizbarach. With that, there will be a tikkun to the extent that, please God, we should all be able to meet back in Yerushalayim already before Shabbos with Bias Gal Tzedek Mimher Bebeinu and Binyan Beis Hamikdash.